In this video, we're going to show you a cheap and easy way to recover a weather balloon that's returned from the edge of space, and it contains a GPS receiver and transmitter that you can use for your own high altitude balloon.
Bye-bye. Wow, good launch, guys.
Fantastic, very smooth.
Now the first thing you want to do is log on to the Sonde Hub Tracker website. Now at the moment, what you can see is hundreds of balloons that have been flying around the world in the last 12 hours. So I'm going to go to the age button and I'm going to narrow it down to the balloons in the last hour. Now because I live in Australia, the lucky country, girt by sea, I'm specifically going to look in this area here, Adelaide. And the balloons generally go west to east, generally. I live in Sydney, and a lot of the balloons just drift out to sea. Occasionally, they blow back inland. Now, this is the part you're really interested in. You notice the balloon took off from here. It's currently here. It's predicted the balloon will burst here, and then it will land here. It gets better. When you click on the landing spot, it even tells you what time it's going to land. Remember, it's only a prediction. That landing spot and the time could change a fair bit-ish. Checking in on the balloon that we're tracking, you can see that we're just above Porter. And, the predictor just changed. The balloon's now going to burst slightly west, and the landing point has just moved just a little bit by the looks. Now, as you can see, it's done the U-turn as predicted. It's still ascending and it's getting very close to bursting. Now the balloon was rising at about 6 meters a second. It got to 26,284 meters and the balloon burst. And you can tell it's burst because it's falling out of the sky at a great rate of knots. It's now plummeting out of the sky at a rate of 35 meters a second, which is about 125 kilometers an hour. And that's mainly because there's very little air pressure up there. As it comes down, it'll slow down. So the balloon's landed around 10 past 12 in the Walker's Flat area. And you'll notice in the sidebar it says it's 80 metres up and it's still coming down at minus 2.7 metres a second. And that is because it hasn't actually landed yet, but that was the last signal that was received from this station here. Obviously, there's a few hills in the way between the station and the balloon. And according to Google, Walker's Flat is only about 7 metres above sea level. Any balloon chaser worth his salt will tell you that any place with the word flat in it is like gold. Now, this is where it gets really cool. Back in the sidebar, you'll notice the GPS coordinates are written in blue, and they're actually a link. And if you press on that link, it'll actually open a map and take you to the balloon. Back in the real world, Sydney, I got a call last night from a balloon mission commander, Ross, saying that tomorrow's balloon launch from Mascot Airport was going to land inland, and we got a fair chance of retrieving it. So I got up at the crack of dawn, fed the pet monsters, and then logged onto the Sonde Hub website to track the balloon. About 6:15, it was about 4,000 metres above Sydney, heading north, and it was due to turn left at about Hornsby. So we headed out to the predicted landing site. It's a bit of a hilly area out there, and the last signal that was uploaded to the Sonde Hub website was at 283 metres. So we put those GPS coordinates into the map, and this is what we came up with. So here we are on the main road, just a few hundred metres from our balloon. It looks like it's landed in a pretty accessible spot, but it's down a track and behind some properties. Time for some door knocking. After meeting up with the owner, James looked at the map and said, "I know exactly where your balloon is," and he offered to take us down there in his off-road vehicle.
Supposedly don't fly into it. Yeah, okay, because it's full of helium, I think.
Well, there's the parachute, dangling about 5 metres up a tree.
Base station, yeah. And then awesome. So what we do,
And there's the sonde on the floor in the bush amongst the brown snakes and the funnel webs. It didn't seem to bother James too much. So after a successful recovery, the sonde lives to fly another day. Now this next step is really important. As soon as you recover your sonde, as soon as you can, open it up and take one of the batteries out. It's the only way you can turn it off. If it's left on, it'll continue to transmit and it could get picked up by base stations and keep appearing on the Sonde Hub website. So let's open the sonde up and have a bit of a gaze inside. It's basically 2 blocks of foam held together with a couple of clips, and for the first one you just got to peel this sticker back and then just push the plastic tab through with a small screwdriver. The other end's a similar sort of clip, but it can be a bit fiddly. I'll put the batteries back in and press the start button so you can see it's working. The green light flashing means it's booting up and looking for satellites. And the only way you can turn it off is by removing one of the batteries, and we're going to do that because we don't want it getting picked up and appearing on the Sonde Hub website again. These tracks on the board make up the GPS antenna. And right next to it, this stainless steel wire is the transmitter antenna. Flipping it over, you've got your GPS chip here. And just over here, you've got your radio transmitter chip. And on the other side, you've got your microcontroller chip. This is an open source device, so you can reflash this to repurpose the sonde and change the frequency, etc. Now this thing dangling out the other end is the temperature and humidity sensor. This temperature sensor is made of platinum, and at one stage platinum was worth almost as much as gold. This is a humidity sensor. It's got its own little defrost heater because it gets up to about -60 up there. Well, there you have it, folks. A cheap and easy way to look for, track down and recover radio sondes from weather balloons. Good luck.